to our continued coverage of the European group stages. Tonight we resume with group number 2, and we've got the upper bracket and lower bracket to get underway with. Henry, Natsu, how are you guys today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I'm good as well. Thank you for taking the time to answer this time.
I'm sorry I haven't privileged before.
Yeah.
It's important.
Nice to know
do you want to elaborate on how well you feel?
I actually woke up for lunch today, which is has not been something I've been doing while being here. And I've been actually enjoying the sun here in Bucharest, which is pretty warm.
Yeah, it is. I think it was 38 today.
I woke up at 3 p.m., so that's pretty good as well. That's not bad.
That's a new record, I think, for you.
That's 4 p.m.
That's earlier, yeah. Yeah. I actually got to go to the gym today for the first time in the 3 weeks we were supposed to be going every day. So we all had new moments today. We all set personal bests. We'll look at the tournament structure before we get into the previous games and discuss what's gone down so far, but there it is. Obviously, the qualifying stage is already done. US EU1 and 2. EU1 group also finished. So Team Solo Mid didn't make it through. They were the first team to qualify for the kickoff season of PGL. They're not in just yet. They've still got the last chance qualifier. The same applies for Nadas Vinciri and Kingwin, who was the qualifying team in that group. U.S. qualifier, that's done. Method made it through. Luminosity, CLG, Liquid. That will take place in about 3 days' time, I believe that starts. And oddly enough, I'm not going to be here for that. You guys are going to have a non-North American caster for the North American group. I've got to go home for a wedding, but there's a closer look at the groups. And obviously, we're in the middle of group number 2 right now. Fnatic in the upper bracket with Dignitas. Titan came close last night, although Dignitas still beating them. That put some worry into their current situation.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have a long night tonight against Mousesports, especially players like Nico next. Those guys throwing some randomness. I think it's gonna be poison for Titan.
Well, if Mousesports were able to take a map off Fnatic, you've got to wonder what they can do against Titan. Titan didn't look too strong last night. They had one convincing map, but apart from that, they looked pretty far detached from the server, to be honest. I wasn't really impressed what they presented.
Well, let's look at that bracket to be specific, so we see as it stands right now how it all plays out. Fnatic took down Mousesports. Now, Mousesports, against odds, took a map off of Fnatic. Actually made that series a lot more close than we expected it to be, specifically after the first map where Fnatic almost manhandled them. As such, Fnatic do move forward. Dignitas to play them in the upper bracket this evening, which means one of the two, Titan or Mousesports, are done in the group bracket this evening. They still have the last chance qualifier, but we'll be down to 3 teams remaining tonight. And expected scene would be that Fnatic cruises through to the upper bracket, but who's to say what happens in the lower? That game's got a lot more to play for, I think.
Absolutely. That lower bracket game is going to be really interesting. We saw Mousesports not even presenting their full lineup yesterday, and if they did take a map of Fnatic, we kind of counted them out before the game even started, right? We said it'd be a 2-0.
And for the record, Chris J still not playing this evening.
So Speedy being removed from the lineup, but he was actually the best player for Mousesports last night as well. We talked about Titan, saying Shoxy had to step up. He was pretty quiet, to be honest. Smith's had a good game. Maniac actually was very good, but ultimately losing to Dignitas, I think that's a result they're going to want to forget about and move on tonight and hopefully take down Mousesports.
Hopefully is the thing. I mean, Titan, again, losing to Dignitas, who's been a team that was in the ratings, Thorns ratings in particular, in the back half of the top 10. I think they got as low as 7 maybe at one point. 8 for sure, but maybe 7. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look back. It's been a while. But then, like you said, Natsu, last night, they've kind of slipped away ever since, and that was sort of only for about a 2-month span. Yeah. But they still pick up a win over Titan, who for a long time have been well inside that top 10. So how far have things deteriorated even with the roster changes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone expected them to qualify for the major, which they didn't manage to do. They've since brought in Zonic to help them coach the team. It's going to be fun to see how it actually benefits them going further. Yesterday we saw a lot of fast-paced Counter-Strike, especially on train from them, which was a lot of fun to watch. It's hard to play against as well when you don't really know what's happening and stuff. And they have been known for some innovative stuff, such as the Mirage strat on A that we touched on yesterday. We went through that actually as well. Things that other teams have actually adapted from them. So it's an interesting lineup that I think they sort of fell off, but now maybe they'll have their new coming. Who knows?
And I mean, it is kind of when you look at, I guess, historical centers of Counter-Strike, if you will. You look at the Scandinavian region, Sweden being in some ways the core of Counter-Strike, has 2 top teams. Right now with Fnatic, you could argue NIP's still up there. Things are shaky with their recent results, but 2 teams that have been near the top. They've got the same in France, although same with to be said with Titan. You could argue that they're not really there right now.
Sure.
Germany's had Penta and Mousesports kind of back and forth in and out of the top 10. Penta's obviously trailed away. It's interesting how the second ones are slowly fading away, is it not? But then you also look at Denmark, who has TSM, and there's never really been a second team to step up quite in the same way as the other nations have had. So maybe Dignitas could be that team.
Yeah, with Danish teams especially, it's always been about personality issues. I think it's public knowledge by now, being written on all over the place in different occasions, that it's usually the personalities that don't work together. That's why you've seen a lot of switches in the Danish scene. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we've not seen multiple good teams, even though the talent is obviously there in Denmark as well.
I still believe in the Dignitas team. I think that yesterday was a strong performance from them. We saw them actually doing very well on train, dropping their map Mirage, which is one we actually thought they would actually be very strong on, but ultimately their couple performance was very convincing as well. I don't think this team's done yet. I don't think they need to be considering lineup changes. It's just a slump. Every team goes through it. We see TSM went through that and they bounced back. Every team will just need to work on what they're doing. They brought the new coach in as well, so I think it's just a matter of time before we see them on the rise once again. So definitely more to see from this team.
Yeah, and just to further that point again about how nations have two in a depth pool, even the Ukraine's got Flipside and Hellraisers that share duty sometimes with Na'Vi. So be interesting to see if the Danes can do it. We will take a look at, obviously, the fun aspect of the evening. Natsu, you came away with the win last evening. Tonight, it's a bit of a gamble. I kind of stacked up on the Fnatic game, but I don't know if that's going to go 3 or not, whereas the other could, so I might have made the wrong decision. But we'll look at your team first, Henry.
Oh, dear. It just doesn't get any easier for me, does it?
This isn't bad.
Okay, so I was basing it a lot on yesterday's performances, right? So let's kick it off. Titan. Shoxy didn't really arrive for me too much, in my opinion. For the amount he cost, I don't think he justified his expense. I think you took him out yesterday, did you, Matt? I can't remember.
I didn't. I took him out, yep.
Yeah, but yeah, Smiths and Maniac. Smiths was actually very good yesterday. He got a lot of opening picks, especially on train. For example, Maniac as well, one of the cheaper players, Titan. Actually, one of the ones we don't talk about that much, to be honest. He was actually fragging very hard, winning some vital rounds for them. Then moving on to Mousesports. Next, yesterday. Probably one of the biggest performances we've seen in quite a while.
I think he was the highest score of the evening when you look at last day points.
I think he was just shy of 40 frags on Cash when his team won, so he got 39 kills there. And then we got Speedy as well, so that's my wild card for tonight. So obviously he's been removed from Mousesports, but he was actually one that impressed me the most across the board, to be honest, across all the maps we saw.
I think I'm similar to you. I can't remember if I took Maniac or not, but I've got the same Mousesports players.
But yeah, that's Speedy. I think is such an interesting player to pick up tonight, just considering the recent news. But then moving on to Fnatic, Flusher and Crims. Look how criminally cheap those guys are tonight. So I don't think you could justify not taking them. I didn't stack on Fnatic. I went for 2 from every team as opposed to actually trying to work out which maps will go to as far as they will. But Crims and Flusher, I don't think these guys need much introduction. Very strong players. Flusher, one of the strongest performances at the majors recently. Crims as well, bouncing back, really has a strong event as well. Played very well last night. And then Dignitas. I actually invested in the most expensive players for Dig. I got AZ and Pimp. AZ yesterday, not as big as he normally is, I guess, and Pimp as well. I think that can be true for him, but I think those guys are very reliable, and it's always going to be a good investment. They're going up against Fnatic tonight. Not sure how that's going to go down, to be honest, but I think I've got a decent team. I think I've invested wisely. I've got some strong picks across the board, but like I said, I haven't really favoured a team too heavily. I've kind of taken 2.
Yeah, interesting that you did that. I kind of did favour a team, and I went with Fnatic just because I hope they come out with some big stats. Again, though, they could win in 2. And if Titan and Mousesports go 3, then I'm going to regret that decision. Okay, so there it is. I actually didn't take a third Titan player. That is the gap that I left for Fnatic. Went with Smiths. Decent value. Had a good night last night on train specifically. He was their best player. 130 points last evening. Overall in the best of 3, lower than Shox and RPK, and actually Maniac when you look at it closely, who I did have last evening. But overall, not a bad decision, I felt. I think he can be an impact player. Mousesports, same as you. I went with Nex and Speedy. Now, the thing with Speedy, his value's low, and his last day points are listed as 0. That was due to the mistake that Vulcan actually made by putting in Simple. Sure. So it affected Simple's value, and therefore it doesn't accumulate a new total. And as such, because he had a good night last night, his value actually doesn't rise because of it, because the way that the algorithm would work within Vulcan. So he's a cheap pickup considering how good he was last evening. So I went with him, and Nex was obviously on fire. Couldn't resist him. He had the highest total of any player last night. Fnatic, Here it is. I stacked up, and I may end up regretting this decision because, as mentioned, they could very well possibly only play 2 games.
Olaf was quiet yesterday as well.
Olaf was, well, in the end, he ended up getting the most points over the 3 maps, but he never had one standout map. So he had 163-7 total. I had him as my shot caller, which gave him a few more. Again, if someone had next, that would have been brilliant. So I've gone for Olaf. He costs so damn much. He is less expensive than yesterday. Yesterday he was in the 17s. Now he's in the 16s. And if I was going to spend the money, I was going to make him the shot caller again. How can you not? Sure. You got to justify your investment. Crim's Flusha, so I have the exact same Fnatic team as yesterday. Again, stepping just shy of JW, who could have been the factor that beat me yesterday. Dignitas, meanwhile, took 2 from them as well, so hoping that they'll put up reasonable numbers against Fnatic. I went Pimp and Nico. So I have 5 players in the series that could go 2 games and only 3 in the one that could go 3. That may be the difference for me that kind of haunts me this evening.
Well, it's my turn, I think.
The current reigning champion.
Yep. Is he going to come down with burning flames?
I hope so. I really do.
From my picks, you can pretty much tell who I think is going to win. That's what I went for, basically. I only picked an RPK from Titan. I thought he had a pretty solid night, actually, yesterday.
Yeah,
he played individually quite well, posting some pretty good score lines. Assuming he was on actually the plus side there, since his green from yesterday. Moving on to Mousesports, I picked up Nico, and Nex, and Speedy. I think this is the kind of matchup where Nico is going to really shine. I think he's going to go crazy here. He's going to just destroy Titan. I just feel like he was the best pickup you could take.
More space than he was against Fnatic, that's for sure.
He's going to play with a very little respect, and I think that's going to be my golden star tonight.
Okay.
That's interesting, actually. I don't mind this.
Moving on to Fnatic. I did the same stack I did yesterday, JW, Crims, and Flusha. I mean, you can't really go wrong with this trio, can you? So I think it's a pretty fair pickup. And I didn't pick all of my search just for a fact because he was still too expensive for my taste. I felt like with these 3 guys, I would get best value for my money.
Remind me never to go on a date with you. I don't like McDonald's.
I also took Crims as my shot caller. Then moving on to Dignitas. I only picked up 1 from them, which was Nico, who actually had a pretty solid game yesterday. A lot of clutches, like triple kills and stuff like that. So I figured he's pretty cheap, actually. And that's what let me stack from Fnatic and Mousesports, basically.
It was something you pointed out yesterday that Nico, you felt couldn't really do well without the AWP, but I think he proved you wrong almost yesterday.
Yeah, he did, definitely. Yeah, kudos to him. I think he played very well with the M4.
The interesting thing is that you still could have afforded MSL and got away with a few more on the roster there, but I agree with this decision. MSL shot caller, or strat caller rather, did yesterday have a good game, specifically on his CT sides in a few cases, but I agree with the fact that Nico's got more frag potential, so even though you could still afford the higher valued player, you kept the lower.
Yep.
All right, PGL staff. These guys won 2 nights ago. Last night they were dead last. They saved $2, so they actually spent out just about the perfect amount of money. This is probably one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive combination available. Started with Existence, so kept it light on Titan. Perhaps an indication that they as well, there you go, think that Mousesports are going to win this. Nico, Nex, and Speedy. Now keep in mind with Titan, they kept it cheap, which therefore means when we click Fnatic, they're going to have Olaf Meister instead of JW, who they've also made shot caller. That's Twitch Chat's call on that one. So they've decided, Twitch Chat, that Olaf Meister is the man they want leading it, and then it's Crimson Flusha. So same team as me with Fnatic, but they've got a more aggressive stack in the first game. This could be really good for the PGL staff. Dignitas, who we got? Just Kirby. So they've gone with the same approach as you not to, favoring the winning teams in either situation, or the teams they expect to win in each case. I shouldn't say the winning. That's yet to be decided.
Yep. Yeah, but obviously, it felt like the right strategy for myself, at least, to take.
Well, where I was going with it, yesterday, we just based it on that game. I thought it was going to carry on to today. So today, presumably, we're basing on just the 2 games we're going to see.
That's true. That is, yes, that is true, because tomorrow evening we'll still have 3 teams available, which means you can still pick a team.
So that's the angle I was going with.
Yeah, because we'll have lower bracket tomorrow evening, best of 5. That league then. So if you're playing Vulcan tomorrow night, remember, if you want to play Vulcan, you can use the link down below us somewhere in the chat boxes, Twitch boxes, info boxes, or use the promo code PGL_Season1 to get your, there it is right there, to get your deposit matched up to 100%. If you are playing tomorrow evening, that league will carry over because in the final evening, there's only 2 teams. Therefore, you can only pick 6 because 3 from each team, and you got 2 spots left over. So if you're picking tomorrow night for the best of 5, keep in mind who you think is going to win that series and have them play in the following evening. So that's just a note to put ahead of time so that you guys are aware of it. We'll take a break. When we come back, we do begin in the first matchup, the lower bracket matchup. It is going to be Titan versus, Mousesports. Thank you. One of those two red teams. We'll be back. This is it, boys. This is war. This is what we've been waiting for.
Ooh.
Come on. We all know that reference. All right. It's time to get started. It's going to be Titan, and it is going to be – come on. Why am I doing this twice in a row? Mousesports, thank you. Brain. What do we think?
Brain of yours.
What do we think is going to happen here, guys? Best of 3. Chance that this goes all the way.
I think, well, judging by yesterday's performance, I completely took Mousesports out of the equation against the Smiths with absolutely no chance of even getting close to a map. But somehow they took D-Cash. Actually, pretty good performance from them as well. So interesting to think they go against a weakened Titans, to be honest, someone who didn't really step up that much yesterday.
I just had an interesting note whispered in my ear.
What's that?
I don't know if you guys heard that or not.
No.
For those of you who picked up Speedy in your Vulcan, congratulations. You've been upgraded to Chris J. He's playing.
Okay.
We all picked him up, didn't we?
I think we all did.
I picked him.
I'm not sure. Actually, after the way Speedy played it yesterday, I actually would rather have him, to be honest.
Let's call
you've been downgraded to Chris
Let's
J.
call Mousesports management right now.
Yeah.
You're not bringing in Chris Jag, boys.
Yeah, Chris J, like, he's been under a lot of pressure recently. Everyone's saying he needs to be AWPing when he's not really comfortable with it. And now Dennis is picking up the AWP. In that current situation, I'd probably rather have Speedy, to be honest, tonight at least.
Yeah, it could be true. I mean, Speedy had a lot of fragging potential last night. It was interesting when they selected him to be the guy to move aside for Nico, but similar roles perhaps more the indication because skill-wise, there's a lot of guys that are, again, close to Speedy's level. Dennis and Speedy are pretty equal, but Dennis has obviously been playing well with Chris J with the aggression together. So
yeah, it's always a trade-off, basically. It's all you can say really about it. It's you're going to take some qualities, you're going to leave some qualities, and they're just going to think about it, which ones are more important than the other.
The interesting thing is all 6 are still contracted, so they can play with this. They've got room to play with it, and Nico obviously bringing up. It's simply due to results. So if Nico doesn't work out, or if Speedy out of the lineup is hurting them more than in, then they can try some other complexions as well.
Why not?
Why
keep
not?
mixing
Just
it up,
shift
see what works.
This time next year, they'll have it figured out, but let's give them some time, guys, please. But we'll look at that lineup now with Chris J in. Speedy in his substitute role is finally going to step aside after that announcement. So that does leave Nex, who led the way last night, 39 kills on that Mirage game. Cash game, the second game.
Yes.
Nex, Dennis, Nico, the guy that's in now, Chris J and Gabi. This is the set 5 they intend to play with.
So, Nex, yesterday, one of the biggest performances we've seen from him. We talk about him being one of the world's best fraggers right now, definitely within the top 10, I would say. Stepping up every single time he needs to. He's a little bit inconsistent, perhaps some people might say, but when he does go big, it's absolutely massive, and that yesterday was testament to that. Dennis as well, like I just mentioned, has been picking up the AWP role recently since Chris J has stepped down, but Nico yesterday seemed to have a little go of the AWP as well, so I'm not sure how that's going to come going forward. Are they going to allow Nico to have more of an AWPing presence and Dennis to go back to his rifle role? That is yet to be seen. Nico, obviously, the newest signing of the team, amazing talent, individual player, it's off the charts. Like, he's been in Mousesports before, got removed due to a few issues, mainly the language barrier, but it seems like he's back, and they're ready to give us another go after the major and a couple of disappointing performances. Chris J, like I mentioned, was known as being the AWP player of the team and one of the best scouters, possibly the best scout in the world as well. In the current meta is very important. And recently, I guess he hasn't felt too comfortable with the AWP, and that's why he stepped down a little bit more. You will see him pick it up still, I think, but he's trying to work on his rifle skills, and he's definitely has got the capability to make that work for himself. Godby, final one to finish that off. The in-game leader, the tactical mastermind behind this team, the one that picked them up and got them to the level they are now, but I think they are trying to work things out a little bit more now, considering they just changed lineup after the major.
Great breakdown of the team. I think that pretty much covers just about every angle. We'll look at their opponent. It is going to be Titan, again, another team that's made recent changes with the coordinated individual photos as well.
So, RPK, CS Source legend, world's best player back in the day. A lot of these guys did come from CS Source as well. I think that's true for all 5, actually, to be fair. RPK, very strong rifle player, hasn't found the same form in CSGO as of yet. Still a strong player, but definitely nowhere near the caliber he used to be. Smiths, talked about him today. He seems to be the go-to war player right now for Titan. It's a kind of, they mix it up. Shoxy can pick it up, Existent can as well, but Smiths, I'd say, is the the number 1 AWPer right now, one of the new pickups along with Shoxy from Envy. So this is the lineup as well that they swapped 2 players with Envy. Envy obviously getting to the grand final of the major, and these guys still a little bit lackluster, not finding the same sort of form. Just moving on quickly, Existence, the in-game leader, we herald him as one of the masterminds of the game, but as Natu pointed out yesterday, we haven't really seen it come to fruition too much. So I guess there's a lot of good approaches to their game, but a lot of big problems as well. Shoxy, one of the best fraggers in the world. And sorry, it looks like we're moving on. So let's go. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So past encounters with these guys, it's hard to read into with the roster changes. Titan didn't have the roster they have now in any of those current lineups. Likewise, Nico not in. So this you can read into if you want, but it ultimately has some grains of salt ingrained into it.
Well, definitely considering both lineups changing recently.
Well,
you
exactly.
can't take anything from this.
It does.
Really.
Yeah, it does favor Mousesports, interestingly enough, but either way, here's something that does matter, though. This doesn't matter if there's lineup changes or not. Individual players head-to-head. It's going to be Dennis versus RPK. Like you said, former Source legend. He's stepped back in. Interesting to highlight, he just said when he came back, all I have to do is be a support fragger on this team. Well, that team's changed, and I still think he's got to step it up and elevate it. Dennis, another guy that came into the Mousesports from the Penta lineup, that old core, head-to-head Natsu. These guys going to be a key tonight, I think.
Yeah, RPK, he's obviously, he was away for a long time, like a year and a half at least. You didn't expect much of him from the beginning, but it has come time now. He's had enough time to really start to flourishing and showing that potential he obviously has through how good it was in Source. So really he needs to bring it now because Titan obviously needs it too. They're gonna, let's say their early games have not been that successful, obviously, with how the major went, the way we saw them play yesterday. So he has some big shoes to fill. Dennis, however, for me he's sort of a middle guy. He's the the third guy sort of a player in that lineup who's going to be one of the 3 key guys going into a side, basically.
He's also very aggressive on his CT side, which, as I mentioned earlier, complements Chris J sometimes, who, with an AWP, isn't scared to push into Palace on Mirage, push on Cash into either A main or Squeaky, even B at times, depending on if they want to place the op over there. So I think he's actually, it was when this lineup was first formed, and I cast them a few times in the Pro League and at various other events, I was very excited to see that aggression because they were one of the more aggressive teams out of any team that's available right now.
And I think in this matchup specifically, I feel like the problem for Titan is exactly the fact that Mousesports has a lot of random factors when it comes to these players. They can do individual decisions of pushing here and there and making it look really easy and making it uncomfortable for Titan. Especially, I feel like Nico, like I said, with the Vulcan picks, I feel like this is the kind of matchup where he's going to go huge and carry his team to the win.
Well, let's look at what maps we're going to play, and then we'll get into the predictions because this could dictate a lot in this matchup. Banned out first, Inferno by Mousesports. Not a map they commonly play. Titan, we saw it. Actually, their percentage on Train, oddly enough, is at 33, even though they still favor it. But Cash is another one that they don't particularly like, and Mousesports do. So
Cobblestone first. We saw Titan play that yesterday, actually losing on the Infernal map to Dignitas. So no surprise on Mousesports. I picked that. I guess they probably got to watch Titan quite a lot, maybe dissect what was going on. But Mousesports on Cobblestone, not a map I've seen them play too often. I think we saw them at the major play it once. And it's a map they can definitely play. I guess just the benefit of watching Titan yesterday on it. Moving on to D-Train as well. That's kind of interesting, seeing as that's another map Titan lost yesterday.
Yeah. And obviously they got, a pistol, second and third round, and 1 weapon round on their T side. So not a strong showing on their T side.
I think Mousesports, it's heralded as one of their best maps at least. That's the breakout performance they had against VP at Gfinity, and actually took them down 2-0 and beat them on Train in overtime. So definitely a map they're familiar with as well. So I'd say this veto, if you're basing it on current and recent results, you'd say Mousesports potentially have the advantage in this one.
Yep. And the percentages indicate that. I call this the modern trio because we've got the 3 latest maps released into the pool. In Cobblestone, obviously Train completely redone, and the most recent, and then Overpass as well. So the traditional and standard map's not going to be played tonight in this one.
Yesterday we saw Titan play a lot more towards A than we traditionally see teams playing.
That's true.
A lot of teams play towards the B side very heavily on their terrorist side. So this is going to be up to Mousesports really. Have they watched? Have they done their homework, basically? Which I do believe they probably have.
Godby, definitely. He always does. It's like I spoke to those guys at Cologne, and they said like Godby puts so much homework in, and he puts all the time into anti-stratting other teams. So he definitely watched that demo, and like Natu said, It's unorthodox to favour the A side. VP do it as well. They kind of do go towards A quite a lot, but most teams will favour the B bomb site. Titan, on the other hand, they split through middle and long A as well, and they do that almost every single round. So that's something to note.
Yeah, and how does that aggression that we talked about from the CTs come into play? Obviously, on B site, you can contest the hallway. You might boost and drop, but both those not as likely as pushing onto A. And if they get caught pushing by Titan, who like to play that A site, they're going to be able to run in and exploit a disadvantage D. I mean, does that mean that Mousesports have to be a little more careful about that?
I feel the trade-off really is, especially when you've seen how Titan plays, is I would definitely play aggressive on A, either side hall or down middle. Make sure I get the early information on what they're, how they're going to be approaching that round. Because a lot of the times they actually did an A round, they were really fast at approaching either side hall or down middle. So basically, you either send 2 or 3 players towards A at first, and basically making B more vulnerable for an early push. But I think that would be the approach I would take.
I'd prefer to have an AWP player at the back of B and then invest some rifles towards A, at least for the first initial rounds where you work out what's going on. We saw Dignitas yesterday actually employ 2 players towards long A area, and the crossfire actually was very effective for a few rounds. So that's what I'd start off with, moving the orb towards middle as well, going for that initial information, just spotting the T's, seeing if they are having presence there as well is definitely viable, but it's all about mind games tonight. I guess Titan are going to be aware that demo is available and maybe changing their approach slightly.
And of course, the difference is, of course, we did see them on Cobblestone last night, Mousesports. We saw Nex playing out at that long position, picked up a triple kill at one point there, which was almost surprising in the fashion that it happened. For those of you who remember, it looked like he should have been traded twice and wasn't. Now they've got Chris J back. Does that change the complexion again? Obviously, you said Chris J not so much playing the primary opping role as much as of late, but still has the ability to use it.
Yeah, we haven't seen this lineup in this current state right now. Yesterday we saw a Speedy, so I can't really speculate too wildly and say what they're going to do. But as far as I can gather, Chris J is not AWPing. It's got to either be Dennis or Nico. And I don't really know how it's going to go down. Obviously, Chris J can have less pressure on him, I think. He'll maybe be able to play better in that sense. I don't know.
I don't think I would put Nico on that AWPing role. I would just let him free. Run, son, into the light. Just go.
Young Padawan.
Go have fun, enjoy.
Yeah.
Just frag them all. Basically, that's what I would do. I would keep Chris J on the op.
Yeah.
I would. He's got the talent. All he's got to work with. He's a very, I would say, an intense person into a way where you see he takes it very heavily when things are not going well.
Exactly.
It gets into his head. Yeah. He seems to go into this tilt mode. I think that's one of his issues he needs to work on.
Well, when you're the AWP player, you're like the striker in a soccer team. You're the MVP, the one everyone's watching, and you're going to be the flashiest player almost. So there is a lot of pressure playing the AWP role. It can be very stressful for them, especially when you're going to events like the majors and stuff, and you're not performing. You feel like maybe your fault for certain situations. I can understand why you want to step down from that, but Chris J definitely up there within the top 5 or some point in his career. I'd say getting up there.
I would still put him in the top 6 or 7 at the very least.
It's hard to understand why he would put it down, but like I said, we don't know what happens behind closed doors and the pressure he may be feeling.
Yeah, well, and that is true. I know that he does put a lot of pressure on himself. He's been the longest standing member now on this roster. Gobby's been around for a while as well. From the first roster, those are the only 2 remaining before they did the Penta swap for the core. But this lineup's a lineup that hasn't ever really performed in the way that it's been expected to in a lot of cases, and Mousesports have always kind of been on the cusp. They've been to a lot of ESEA lands. They always do well online performance in the ESEA, get to the LAN, and then they kind of fall flat a little bit. So I can understand his frustrations, but yet he's still sticking with it in hopes that Godby can help get this squad revitalized.
Well, again, obviously, bringing a player back, you've already removed the lineup, but maybe a little bit of last-ditch attempt to try and work things out. We'll see how it goes for them. I don't want to say whether I think it's a good role. I think the language barrier may be an issue here, but...
And I think that's why they still have the option to go to Nico, because a guy of that skill, sure, he's on a contract still, but no one's bought him out because, where does he fit in with other teams? He's got the skill for it, but it's the language barrier all around for him that, unfortunately, coming from the Balkan region, he just doesn't fit in with, the Swedish teams, the Danish teams. Now, obviously, he's going to go back into a German team who were speaking German, and maybe, who knows, maybe that's something on the side while he wasn't playing as much he was focusing on to get at least basic communication down. But it is interesting that a guy of that much skill was kind of sitting around in the wings. There's a few guys like that, really.
It just goes to show how important communication in this game is. It's a matter of fraction of a second decisions that come through calling things, and it is, that's a lot of. I see a lot of teams doing that trade-off of preferring communication over skill, even in their own languages when they're everyone's talking the same language. You still see situations where a better player doesn't get a spot in a team just purely because he's lacking in these kind of qualities.
Well, one of the biggest cases of that recently, I guess, was NIP bringing in Alu. And you guys were speaking English, presumably, when he got brought in. And then I guess the team felt it weren't too comfortable doing that and actually went back to speaking Swedish, right? So that goes to show you how you feel to be confident within yourselves.
I mean, to at least for Swedish, when it comes to Finnish people, it's pretty easy to learn the CS
so that
terminology.
Makes more sense,
yeah.
right?
But it was more of a mix between, I guess, but mostly Swedish.
Yeah, well, the same would apply for you not to as well, though, because you're Finnish in that situation too. So you and Alu both would have had to be in the same shoes.
Well, I understand, like, I would say like 80%. I can pretty much have a person talk to me in Swedish and talk to him back in English, and we can have a conversation.
Which I doubt is the same for Nico speaking German.
Probably not.
Not yet, but we don't know that. Again, he's had a few months off. Who knows? Maybe downloaded, Rosetta Stone and put a lot of time into it. I have a roommate who does that. He goes on vacation. Every time he sits there for like 3 weeks and just Rosetta Stones. And it's like super annoying because you just hear these words coming out repeatedly from like little laptop speakers that pierce your ears.
Yeah.
But then he's like good enough that he can communicate when he gets there.
Interesting.
Yeah, Rosetta Stone could be the savior of Counter-Strike.
Nothing to be added to that, boys. We'll leave it at that.
Let's look through the predictions because they are now on the screen. 1.4 to 2.4, so pretty close odds here, but still favoring Mousesport. That's EGB. See if there's consistency there because there's a chance that this goes back. Okay, well, esports gaming, it's almost like the same people bet on multiple sites, right? Everyone just, boom, go to all of them. So. Yeah, stack it up. So Mousesports looking the favorites there. CSGO Lounge, again, 68-32. A little more favorable to Mouse here, actually, than all of them. HLTV and Twitch, they're the two that are always kind of inconsistent with the rest. What do they say? Okay, so far, fairly similar. It's 63% to Mousesports on HLTV. Twitch, I'm not going to look. Eyes closed. Let's see if I can predict it. I'm going to say 56 Mouse.
No.
Oh, wow, that's an even better number if we're honest. Mousesports.
So it seems
looking good, though.
Yeah, Mousesports, it's a really hard one to call. I can only give you my guess. There's no real stats for us to base this on who's going to win this matchup, I guess. But Mousesports yesterday playing against Fnatic did have a strong map, but the other two were pretty convincing. Titan looked pretty well yesterday. So I guess if you're basing it purely on those things, Mousesports may have the edge here, but we haven't even seen this lineup play, so who knows?
And again, the factor is what does Christian do and what does he bring to this team?
Yeah.
Speedy was so strong last night. Who steps up to fill that void as a rifler? Maybe it's Dennis who needs to come on. Maybe it is Nico who needs to break out. Last night he had some moments of it. Obviously, Nex was insane. They've got the skill and that potential, but Nex is going to have to deliver. That's no question. Is it Nico or Dennis that steps up otherwise?
Yeah, I don't think Mousesports is a team that can really have a lot of people having a lackluster game. They pretty much everyone need to perform to win. Well, maybe against Titan, which hasn't been proven to be as good as maybe we would have hoped them to be. But still, I feel like they all have to perform to have a chance, basically.
We've got one more formality that we do every evening. That is, of course, our predictions. We'll start at the end, as always, not to.
My gut feeling says 2-0 Mousesports, so I'm going to stick with that.
I was going to say the same thing. Like the fact that, like I said, the maps, Cobble and Train. If we're trying to just work it out based on what we had, the information we have, I could go over gut feeling, but I'm going to try and use percentages and say Mousesports 2-0.
For the sake of my Vulcan team, I want it to be Mousesports 2-0. My gut says 2-1 for Mousesports. I'm gonna go with it for the Vulcan team and say 2-0 Mousesports as well. But what does Twitch chat say? We'll find out in just 1 second. They've been voting all evening long. See if it's consistent. We'll see if we're all in or we're all out. They've gone 2-1 Titan. Okay. Which is not consistent with any of the betting predictions that we saw, including Twitch chat's prediction. How do you guys manage that? You vote and say that it's going to be 69% for Mousesports, and then you say 2-1 Titan. Like maybe they assume it's map to map or something.
That's swaying the odds, are they?
If it's not in Twitch's favor next map, then they assume that doesn't make any sense. If they think it's map to map, then okay, that means they think they're going to win Cobble and lose the next two to Titan.
Interesting, nonetheless. I think you're reading into it a little bit too deeply.
I think to sum up Twitch chat and how like in agreement they are, all you had to do is watch Twitch plays Pokemon when like it took like an hour for Ash to walk out of just the forest because like it was just everyone.
Were you part of it going, no, go up.
I was watching.
Why is no one doing this properly?
Yeah. It's right there. The cave is right there. Why is this so hard? Okay, we're going to take a break because the teams are not connecting to the server just yet. They will. We'll get things underway in just a minute. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're going to jump straight into it because Chris J is back. Mousesports is ready. Titan is ready as well. We'll start on Cobblestone. Predictions, formalities, we've covered all of them. There's not much more we can say but to cover the action.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun to see the actual debut of this new Mousesports lineup. Yesterday, they obviously had Speedy playing instead of Chris J, so now we get to see the whole new lineup of Mousesports in action.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's always exciting to see a new lineup, but it also can be frustrating at times because that does entail some impetuous decisions,
Well, sometimes,
disorganization.
like Envious have proved, you can have that honeymoon period, and that new team syndrome can be amazing for a team, and they can, I find, they can be really happy and they can be gelling really well, or you can have a bit of a nightmare like Titan are having and have a lot of disappointing results and have a team full of resentment, it seems like. But let's see. Like, obviously, early days for Titan still. They have a lot of work to do.
Yep.
These things do take time. Sometimes you can't hope to be the best overnight. So
I think it's a fair assessment to say that give a new team like 3 months time span, and then you actually can see what they're
exactly
capable
for
of
the
doing.
both arguments, right? So
Yeah.
whether that new team syndrome actually survives and lasts a long time. But anyway, we go straight into this one. Mousesports got to be starting on the T side of D Cobble. We can see 4 sets of armor there. Most players and teams favouring towards a B bomb site. Seems like they will be going towards drop down as well. One flashbang coming for them, and they make their way in there.
There you go. Mouse actually getting a first kill before that drop play even comes into effect. Look at B. There's people inside it. Look at the minimap. They're already all over it, but no kills coming out. Finally, RPK spots them as they get through the window. This is going to be an A split. Once they got that first kill, Dennis on the forward player at A, they had the option to run it directly toward that platform.
Yeah, what a great read from Mousesports there. They were really waiting in drop zone to make that decision on which bomb side to go, and they did the right decision of going A after Dennis got that early kill. They knew it was gonna be max 2 players on that site.
Perfect round. Not even dropping a single frag there. Dignitas actually did a very similar strategy. Yesterday, going through drop down to connect it to A, and it works very well. If you can find that initial frag as well, it's very difficult for the CTs to have even a chance of retaking because the map's so large. You can see there, it's so much confusion going on. You're trying to go through some very tight choke points, and Nico and Nex opening up very cleanly there. So seems like Titan will buy into this round. 5-7s for them, and they will be getting 4 players towards the B bomb side as well, but Mousesports taking this one very slowly. They've got 2 AKs, 3 SMGs, so they're just trying to scout out the map, see where the CTs may be lying, see if they can work out a stack, for example. Nico just holding that long upper area there, and trying to get some information. He's not going to overcommit. He's just facing the early choke points and seeing if he can just find a single CT just to work out where they may be lying, but here comes the first confrontation, and Smiths actually does take him down. That's one of the AKs dropped. That's a big frag to take.
Already spotted at least 3 players there as well, so that does indicate that the team should. Mousesports push onto the A site. Meanwhile, though, they still haven't found Shox, and they're going to lose another one on B in the process. If Shox gets this kill, Titan are in a great spot to take this eco round. Chris J knows now that Shox is still lurking in long, and as he looks to one, the other pops out. And Smith's on the rotation, makes that play work out. That's a flawless eco, not a player lost.
Mistakes were made, boys.
Mistakes
were made.
Pretty shocking. Like I said, you don't really want to overcommit to that. Like that angle he was facing on the upper platform, sure, you want to face and get information, but when you're getting to the stage where you can't actually you're so committed you can't fall back once you've died and your teammates aren't there to get the frag back, you kind of working out, was that investment even worth it?
I've kept talking about how getting that J kill is important, and there we go. We see that happening towards that B site where Nico just goes down. Next, not able to retaliate on that kill. Eventually dropping 2 kills, and then Shox even getting that 3rd one. It was over with. So you got to be more together on these rounds, simply.
Absolutely. So now Mousesports are going to be pretty much a full eco here. Next has got Techno and Armor. The rest of the guys not really investing too much into this round. And they're going to invest towards middle. Dennis doing a lot of damage on the shots, actually. Nothing being exchanged yet. He's going to fall back, but damage has been done.
Look at the rotation as well, though, because Maniac, RPK, and Smiths have all come back over to that A site. And even if they were to find Shox, which they haven't, they'd still have a lot of presence to contend with from Titan. Nico's the last alive now, 65 HP. He's come down the drop room, hoping that he could have done a split play and tried to cut off the rotations, but not only have the rotations made it past, he's also killed all of his teammates. Poor Nico.
So he has got a PT-50 in hand, but Existence will be waiting for him to connect to that. I'm not really sure what he's hoping is going to come of this, and he should be dealt with in about 3 seconds or so. There it is. Existence takes him down. That's another round.
2.5 seconds, Henry. You were slightly off.
Well, I'd sometimes try to be totally accurate, but that time, obviously, Not going to happen. But here we go. This is where it gets interesting for Mousesports. They didn't invest too much that round. Like I said, they probably will be looking to get an AWP. Who's going to pick it up? I'm not too sure, to be honest. Like we said, Chris J recently, not announcing, but it's been speculated that he's not going to be up so much these days. They're going to be getting some tech nines again. Dennis and Gobi with some body armor there. It looks like Shock wants to go for a face in the long hauls.
Maniac Shocks.
Maniac's
got through. He's actually in behind the B tunnels. So he's not only pushed past mid, he's in the courtyard. This is an impressive play from him. Unfortunately, he gets caught out because he fired some shots initially that brought Dennis back his direction, and then he got trapped. Not only that, next picking up Shocks means that it might be Mouse's turn to eco, but Smiths comes through from B. They're getting aggressive everywhere, Titan. And he'll pick up 2 kills to stabilize the situation. Not only that, Smith's playing the role of Spider-Man. He's going to hop down the cliff, not get the kill. Nico comes away with it, but in the process, as we read in the top right corner, RPK's found Dennis, and Nico's left with 6 HP. Nico's got bomb, but, well, he had the B site. By the time he got there, though, Existence would meet him, and Existence is not taking any chances. He's going to use that precaution and try and work over. In the meantime, RPK getting the kill gives Titan the 3rd round. And here come the guns again for the Mousesports team. Do they get the op up on the T side?
It's interesting that Smith's actually recovered that round, right? Just having a look at the AWP. Chris J is back. Maybe he's found his confidence. He's not going to be giving it up just yet. But just to touch on that round quickly, the aggression from the CDs, I don't really think it was worthwhile. He didn't need to bring that much to it, especially when you weren't having players to back you up. So Shoxy and Smith's going down there, but they recovered it, so no harm, no foul. But Shox and Smith both AWPing on the CT side as well, so all battles are commencing. Chris J definitely got his work cut out for him.
Nico fires through the smoke onto Smiths, who does take a very small amount of damage. Shocks, they almost line up, but don't in the end. Staggered peek. Gobby gets by. Shock stuck in the corner. Flashes himself, though, and able to take down Chris J. So Chris J might be back holding on to the op, but he's not back to killing with it. Dennis is the one instead that will be, as he picks it up from Shocks and double that up. The difference is nullified. Back to 3 versus 3 until Smiths with the 2nd AWP on B can find Nico lurking in the hallway. So Titan are shutting down all of the presence and positions that come under threat initially. Long usually pushed quite obviously from the terrorists, and B Hall's always going to have someone in it. So far, those very important exchanges have gone the way of the CT side. RPK, though, can he find the last 2 remaining players? And do the last 2 remaining players even make an attempt at this? They've got 35 seconds and the bomb up. But they've got an AWP and an AK in their hands that are both very expensive weapons. With that pick, I assume they will, because it's 2 versus 2 with a split-up defense. But watch RPK's position, because he can catch them out on the cross. If Dennis doesn't check the corner, he does, but he still goes down. Needs to be a response right now, and unfortunately, Nex has lost all of his HP on the initial peak.
Yep, nice positioning from RPK there. Really did save the team around. Great off angle for them. Facing, they didn't really have a chance to take him down. Hits the first headshot and works out with the second player as well. Got a little bit hairy there for Titan. They had a great setup towards long A. Shocks and Maniac working the steps and long area together, having good synergy. But Dennis picked up the AWP, got 2 huge frags there. And Chris J yet to make a frag of that weapon, but they will be investing into this after losing 4 in a row. They've got the Tech 9's armors and flashbangs as well, so you'd assume quite a simple round for them. They're not actually going to stay together. 2 towards long halls, 3 towards B. Here comes the flash into drop down as well.
And around the corner, Nico will go. There's one on either side of it. RPK waiting below the windowsill. Won't be sighted initially from Nico's intended strafe jump through. Not only that, the pressure, okay, well, does come back to work out with the trade on Dennis. I was about to say it, the other side is also being shut down. RPK goes low on HP, but still manages to poke away. And the anti-eco is impervious from Titan.
Yep. Well, wasn't really much presented to that round. They're just purely buying the Tech 9's armor because of the loss bonus they have available. They still can fully buy into this one. It's not a force buy. So they got a flashbang, tried their luck and drop down. Didn't work out for them. Very passive setup from Titan there. And now we go into round number 7. Still running that dual AWP setup. Chris J once again picking it up as well. Wasn't able to find anything at all last round. He got taken down by Shoxy.
Here's the thing they need to be careful about, though, because Chris J is going to continue to invest in this, as Shocks will get the first pick with a very far forward push. But if they don't start getting bomb plants down, that op is going to actually start to hurt and hinder Mousesports' ability to continue buying with the lost round bonus. So this round is very important. Nico's made his way onto the platform, but Shocks is still holding the angle out toward long as we see Nico's angle now, and he's got to walk back through the long way in the fire because he doesn't want to present himself and get stuck in the archway where he can be spotted up. Flashes in toward the henhouse. Smiths is on the receiving end of it, can't yet peek, and he's in a very vulnerable position in terms of damage potential as it comes through those paper-thin walls. And Titan are getting forward on all of these choke points, and Nex almost hold hands with Maniac, who gets impatient eventually, waits for his teammate to flash him in and goes, but Nex was not caught by it. And had an easy shot, a free kill to bring it back to 4 versus 4. Shox on 69 HP does outweigh Nico's 28, so you could still favor Titan in this position, but a trade usually favors Titan, and not to mention that flashbang was perfect, so RPK's gone. They've got Nico through the drop room, and they'll split onto the A site. Just like that, Shox and RPK gone. Smith's in existence. AWP and M4 with 2 up and a bomb down, very likely to hold on to their guns. Smiths is already in a position to do so.
Yeah, important detail to point out. Really, I don't understand why RPK was trying to make his way down middle,
Exactly.
getting caught off guard, really getting flashed, getting killed there, and then Shoxy going down as well afterwards and basically sealing the deal with those 2 kills, even getting the early advantage.
When you have the 5 and 4 situation, you've essentially won the round of CT, right? You just need a fallback, and you force the T to do something they don't want to do. You make them go through the unfavorable situations, make them work for the frags. There, Maniac, fair enough, he did get flashed into middle, and that can be a viable position, but it's definitely a risk still. It's something that could not work in your favor. He pushed through, got taken out straight away, and that gets the T's back into the map, and it forces RPK to try and work out the situation. See if the T's are pushing back up middle. He gets taken down as well. So the headline is, Mousesports didn't really need to work for those frags. They didn't need to execute at all. They just sat around and waited, and Titan brought the party to them. So interesting round, but Mousesports do get a second on the board. We can see now Titan not going to be having the AWP on Shox this time, which is interesting seeing as he's been getting the opening frags. But Chris J once again, AWP in hand. As we go into round number 8 now, it seems like the T's actually be favouring towards the A side of the map as well. Nico going to be heading over towards B. Hasn't had too much success there. Smiths is actually going to be challenging him with the AWP. Gets taken down as well. Finally, Nico wakes up and gets a valuable frag there. For the first time, they have the advantage at the beginning of the round.
Shox is going to hold as well at long. An angle to retreat. And a player to support as we now see Maniac coming forward. This looks good for Titan on that setup, not to mention with 3 players still facing them. I'll have to give Chris a chance to fire at anyone escaping the corner, but as they'll soon find out, there isn't anyone there. So they'll push forward further. Nico again is going to play this lurk role. He's been fairly successful in doing so. Yes, they've only got 2 rounds, but he's managed to get down drop a number of times. See if he can do it again, because already they've rotated their 3rd player over onto that A site. Shox is in the corner as well now, changing his angle, so giving up long, but still going to be able to hold on that cross position. Maniac knows a flash has come through. It hasn't blinded them. They know that was a little bit light, so they won't go, and instead they'll flash him back in, and Maniac picks up 2+ bomb. Titan give themselves a massive advantage in the round. They'll follow that up with Dennis and Chris J, and Nico, the player who is lurking. They know what he's been up to, so they look for him. They find his position. May lose one in the process, but pick up their 6th round overall.
Problem right now for me is the Mousesports is taking a bit too much time, covering areas, taking over areas. They need to be a little bit faster. I think they should push that side hall way quicker to get some ground on and make Titan sort of doubt themselves and make them pull back and make it more uncomfortable for the defense.
Yeah, so Nico gets their first pick into B. They have the man advantage, and that's when Maniac's decision to push through middle with the flashbang actually makes more sense. It's still a risk and a calculated risk, but they see all that time. He picks up 2 frags and wins them around, and Shox this time pushing through the smoke in middle. This is a huge play. Will it pull off for him? See him just trying to get some information with the smoke. They're not going to overcommit.
And he's smartly held up because Godby heard him coming. They heard the footsteps approaching them rather quickly, and we saw Godby's response. He fired into that smoke. Not only that, Shox is going to get Maniac to add another smoke in that exact location, so he can stay here even longer. And the longer this goes, the less they'll expect. As he does fire it out, though, they've heard him. They knew he was in the corner, and Chris J finds him accordingly.
Yeah, he should have left that position like 5 seconds earlier. Made no sense. That was an unnecessary risk for him.
I guess as soon as he started shooting there, that's when he gave his position away, and he just got almost killed himself in that situation. But now, once again, Mousesports do have the man advantage. Nico pretty low HP, so he won't be able to be as free as he was last round, but he's still always working that upper B area. The CTs now, you can see, trying to gain some information back. Maniac pushing into mid once again, but he will get taken down by Nex. RPK answers back, though.
RPK leading the way as well, doubling his teammates' totals on 12. Behind him, it's Dennis, actually, from Mousesports, and then Nico. So it's actually Quiet, Godby, and Chris J so far that are potentially making a hindrance and a problem on their team. Have to step it up if they can. Smiths now evens the situation. Still on to Nico. Follow that with RPK on Dennis, and Mousesports are left with 2. They are going to go on the A site, and that is favorable because it's only RPK at this point in time, at least, in that position, and they managed to find him, but here comes the quick rotation. Resistance trying to get to balcony. Smiths gets Gobby. They're going to hold this plant. Chris J now in a 1-on-2, and he needs to be careful on this. How tactful can he be? So far, so good finding Smiths, but he's also given up his position as Existence now spots him for a second time as he jumps above the roof to get more information. And he's going to go above. It's common, it's known, and Existence already spotting it, but so far, it's calculated as well for Chris J, and he makes it work. I just said he needed to step up. Adds 2 more kills to his total of 1, and they couldn't have come at a better time.
There we saw another example of Titan taking a good risk, actually, when they were pushing. They were 4-5, and they pushed side hall into that connector stairs, trying to get information, like you pointed out, but then that trade went in favor of Mousesports. Then RPK getting that kill coming out of connector, but getting traded away, opened the bomb site basically, and then Chris J just great play there. He just wasted time and made it uncomfortable for Existence to make anything basically.
And now it looks like a very fast B play. All 5 players are the first time committing towards the B area, and the CTs aren't going to be stacking there like they normally have as well. This could be a difficult hold for them.
Double flash on that smoke as well. Now they're going to follow that up, push all the way inside of the site. Smiths was waiting, and he waited too long. I think he was hoping for a second player to drop down, so Dennis had time to check that corner. He shouldn't have, but gets the kill for it. He'll thank himself and the lucky stars that commended that kill to do so, but Smiths has since gone back down to RPK, who falls instead to Gobby. What can Nico do from this position as he spots up Shocks? Resistance will come back, and Shocks actually do find the kill, but the bomb's still ticking away as Maniac's on the flank quickly. They spotted him, but they have to put pressure into Shocks instead, so Existence will find Nico. It's left to Chris J again to clutch it out. He's found one, another to go, as Maniac is going to pursue with just the 5-7, and they'll play each other around the alley. It's Chris again who comes away with 2 straight clutches.
Yep, really good play from Chris J at the end. Unfortunately for Titan, one player didn't have a rifle or a defuse kit. That was Maniac, that being the last one alive. When the bomb's down in that situation, very tricky to actually win that one. Couldn't find a gun in time to challenge Chris, but I think the damage had been done at that stage. Like I mentioned, that was one of the first rounds that the CTs actually had 2 players towards B. They went in, Smiths trying to be a little bit too clever perhaps, but allowing one player to run past him, got taken down. And now we'll see pretty much full eco here from Titan. Shocks has invested with a rifle, M4 in hand for him. And this actually a problem forced by, really. Armor and 5.7 on the M4. This could be a very devastating
And that M4 is playing solo on the A site. He's going to have a world of problems in a second because everyone right now, with the exception of Nex, who's playing more passively in case there's a push, is behind him. This is so tense. Shocks hears the nades being deployed, so looks the correct direction but can do nothing about Gobby. They've since pulled over Maniac because Shocks has called for the help indeed. And they're trying to do damage onto him. They've managed to get him down to 47 HP, but that is all. RPK looking to try and get a little bit of luck in his favor as he sets up for that crossfire. And speaking of luck, Nico aims for 1 in the smoke and ends up with 2. Existence already spotted on the flank as well. So it comes down to RPK in the site. If he can pull off anything special in that corner, only 1. Flash comes out. That blinds 2 Mousesports players, allows RPK to now take down 3. So that position pays off beautifully. It won't give him the round, but it does do economic damage.
Interesting decision from Titan there. Yeah. Investing that like that into the round. 4 5.7s, 1 M4 and Shocks. Like you said, Shocks going all in on their A bomb site. I'm sure we're going to see the replay of RPK here at the end. Nice work from him. Some great pistol work, but it's not really.
That was like implementing some old NBS tactics there. Force buying like that. That's something you see NB do.
Well, definitely not too much. It's not going to amount to much, unfortunately, for them, as they do go into this next round with pistols once again. Could be a costly investment for them, as now Mousesports have 5 on the board. Simple execution now, taking over drop down room. Chris J opening up the Smiths. Now they have full control.
Need through RPK down to 84. Not a significant loss, but what is more significant is that they have lost Existence and Smiths for only the price of Nex. And Nico, again, who's been lurking well in that drop position, will take control of it, which now allows Gobby to come in with him. And importantly, Chris J was alone with the bomb, so getting that kill on Maniac, although it's against the pistol, was still something that matters significantly in the round. RPK gets back into Nico. Gobby needs to find that kill in return, as it is now 2 members remaining for Titan versus 3 of Mousesports. And as always, I mentioned it, it changes. The round looking probable and favorable to go to Mousesports' way, and we are tied on 6s.
So then this is where it gets dangerous for Titan after having such a strong start for them. Losing the pistol, then winning 5 in a row. They were up At one point it's 6-2, and now it's really kind of fall away from them. Difficult economy management, still not going to get back into that. They had a very strong set of the dual orbs. This time they're going back to 5 rifles. Only 1 kit, that's going to be on Maniac. Chris J picking up the AWP again. You really do favour them with basing it purely on the barge right now. Mousesports, if they get this first pick, could be a difficult state of affairs. And now, once again, Titan actually opting for 4 players towards B again. It's going to be Shox alone on the A-bomb side.
And just to speak of Chris, because he is going back to that AWP, not most of his kills actually coming from rifles in clutch situations. He hasn't actually gotten that many with it yet. But nonetheless, they'll keep it on him. Smith's looking toward the arch. I can't remember who it was in the qualifier. I think it was Peter who was using the Russian team that was using that smoke gap to full advantage when they walked in on top of that B site against the box.
I think you're right, I remember that. But here we go, here comes the first frag, and Shox, of course, takes down Dennis, and that's exactly what he needed to do to stay in this round.
Wouldn't mind seeing more of it. That's the only reason I bring it up, because it was brilliant on the entry. And Shox falls back into a safe position. 100 HP. And you go down to 10 with Dennis already gone. Does mean the Titan have a chance to take another round. And Nico overextended, almost caught off guard by Smith, who finds Chris J instead. Another headshot on the op player. So Chris again not able to get the opening with the AWP. And money again was so low on the CT side. This could be massive if they pull this round off. Not done just yet, though, because Mousesports is leading back over toward the A site where just Shox remains. RPK, Maniac slowly working in that position, but are they going to have a smoke in front of the doorway? So far, they won't, and a flash comes out in return instead. And that allows Shox to pick up his second kill, both of which have been very important for the overall situation. And this round now going to go to Titan, surely, because Nico with 10 HP is just going to hang out in the stairway.
Yeah, it looks like a getaway with this as well. 4 seconds remaining.
He's being clever. Yeah, he's let them go by. He's not even going to take those shots.
I think an issue right now also for Mousesports is the fact that Nico's not able to contribute on that B platform as much as usually he should. He's more often than not going down to like 20 HP without getting a single kill.
When you send players towards that sort of position alone, it's because they're very good at it and they can actually cause an impact. It seems like he's just going towards there. Sure, he's getting a little bit of attention, but like you said, he's just going down to 10 HP every time. Doesn't seem to be making very many frags, to be honest. And once again, Shox there, left alone onto long A. This time managing to find the opening frag, and I think had he have died in that situation, it would have been another round gone towards Mousesports, but he steps up when they're on the back foot as well. Difficult buy for them, and he manages to find that kill and secures the round. Smith's answering back as well. We saw him pushing up. He's had a strong game so far. 7-6 though, but this does make Tyson fragile at this stage. We have got a pause coming in. I missed who actually called that one in.
I think it was called by Mouse, but yeah, they're calling it technical.
So
server issues.
Let's talk about the economy state right now. So Tyson, after they lost 4 rounds in a row and then won a fragile buyback, almost a forced buy. No diffuse kits, not much utility. So this round, you can see they have got a semi-decent amount of cash. I think there's about $2,000 average on the team. So going to the next round, it'll be another forced buy, I guess.
Yeah, good thing is they didn't lose.
The men.
Yeah, did they lose any players? Or one?
I think it may be one, but yeah. The point
like
still stands is they actually kept a good, healthy amount of men alive.
That's what I was going for. They didn't actually lose anyone. So
yeah, all 5 members
that's what
were alive.
contributes going further then. So they will have more money than they would if they would have won in like a 1-on-1.
But but I mean, like it'll be a similar buy to what it was last round. It'll be Famises, not much utility, M4s perhaps. They haven't got back to that dual orb setup yet. So they definitely want to win this one to give them a strong chance at the last round. But let's see how Mousesports reply after losing that. They did get 4 in a row. Chris J once again with the AWP, but like you said, Matt, had most of his kills in those clutch situations with the rifle, actually picking up 2Ks and 3Ks. Hasn't seemed to actually contributed that much with the sniper rifles.
He's lost an op duel at long against, I believe it was Shox who was actually picking it up in that situation. It might have been Smith who went over there. Either way, and he lost the entry on B in the last round, as we saw, so it hasn't had the effect that they've been hoping for. See if that can change. If there's ever a round that it had to, it's right now, because look at the money situation. 2 AKs, 2 Tech 9s. If that AWP could find an opening, it would be instrumental in the round.
Look at this. Shock 3.
Oh, he's a little late on it, so Gobby gets beyond it. And he walks out not knowing Gob was there. Does give Maniac a chance to get the trade kill. But look how far back he's had to go from their initial aggressive position. Still, though, finds Dennis when he goes for the repeat. That works out well. Can Maniac get another one? The flash coming through from his teammate. He'll push forward, and next does go down. It's left to Nico and Chris J. Bombs over in the B tunnels. They can go back for it. Chris J finally getting an opening kill, but it might be too little too late, as they've lost both of the AK-47s. Nico's just got the Tech 9, but Chris is finally waking up with the AWP. Hits yet another shot on Existence. RPK the first to rotate over. It's down to 2 versus 2, and they've got the M4 on Nico finally with the smoke out. And Chris covering the angle, the only angle possible for them to spray into it. Great chance here for them to set up a post-plant position. Nico, is he going to get aggressive? Looks for the peek, finding one already. Maniac thought he was safe because RPK had just looked in that position. Wasn't expecting the peek, but likewise, Nico not expecting the push, and Chris J.
Wow.
There's the AWP.
Yep. First, we saw some great plays from Maniac there and getting going and killing, I think, with 3 people.
3 kills, yeah.
Kills, 3 kills on that side haul. But then after was the Chris J show, especially that second kill. What a flick shot to that guy running out from the rock. And then winning that 1-on-1. Just a solid performance from him.
Yep, seemed to have found his confidence. And like you said, Maniac stepping up big there. Shox got taken down. He's normally the talisman of Titan, and he stepped up. Maniac got 3 kills, but it's not enough. Chris J clutches yet another round there. So great work for him so far.
Watch Shoxy's forward position again. He's gone through that second door 2 different occasions, found kills on one and lost his life on the other. And that's the big thing. You said it, Henry. We've been calling out Chris J a little bit for his op performance, but he's still now had 2 1-on-1s, or rather, excuse me, 2 1-on-2s,
yep,
and a 1-on-1. So 3 clutches total. It's not at all a bad performance.
Definitely not. And now, like we said, Titan are on the back foot here. Famuses, pistols, no utility really left. A couple of flashbangs, and not a single kid as well.
Watch Shox.
So they need to find a frag right now.
In good position, and that was well thought out. He knew that they would check that balcony, as everyone so often does. So Nico, with his back exposed, goes down. No one in position to get the trade kill, so Shox will fall back into the A site. Watch Gobby, though. He's already watching into that balcony position. If RPK wants to come out for the doorway, they could find him, but he's blinded up, and Shox goes for the peek, nearly walks into the fire of RPK, but instead it works out until Dennis comes in for the trade. Chris J looking again with the AWP. Correct angle, finding Smiths, but it allows RPK to get the return shot, and the same is the case for Nex. Only one in, but with one immediately out. Dennis is still going to get the bomb site, go for the plant. Existence and Maniac need to come over. One coming from either direction, and Dennis might just get caught in the open from his left side. Instead, when he looks, it's Existence from the right.
Once again, Shox having to perform in the long A area, gets 2 frags. Didn't do too well last round, but he has been pretty consistent there, working those 1-on-X duels and doing very well there, and actually getting them another round on the board. Nice clutch play from Existence and Maniac as well. Good crossfires, didn't overcommit 1 by 1 and make it a difficult situation for one another. So nice recovery from them. You have to say it was a little bit hit and miss, that whole half of Titan. Started off very strongly after losing the pistol, got back into it very convincingly, but Mousesports definitely stepping up, and I think really did come down to Chris J's clutches.
Look at RPK's stats, too. He was playing very well. Getting a lot of multi-kill rounds.
So
that's big. 7-7 is what our scoreline still says, but as we obviously saw the reviews, it is tight, and that will update as soon as we jump over. That's a split half. That's not bad for Mousesports, considering, remember, at one point they were down 5-1 and 6-2, excuse me.
Yep, so obviously the pistol round very important. Titan did this a lot yesterday. 5 sets of armor for them. No utility to speak of whatsoever, so that suggests they will go in for the straight B rush, although we do know they favor the A bomb side. Maybe they'll be splitting A here as 2 players go towards middle. 4-man stack from Mouse towards B. But yep, Maniac will be going straight to drop down.
And they go. What's the response going to be as we watch Smiths lurking over on A? They've managed to get down, but Chris J's there. Another 2 kills for him. What a great night to return to the lineup for Chris J as he now extends his lead in the frags. But watch for Titan to rotate over. Smiths is coming. He'll be the first to arrive. One is secure, but they've got players on either side of them to Mousesports, so a chance for Titan to fight back into it with position, but not going to happen. Nico's got the kill on RPK. Smith's the last that's alive. It would take something other than bullets in that Glock, I fear. Although that said, 1 bullet for Dennis and potentially 1 for Chris J. Could be enough. 50 seconds to work with as well. There's the 1 for Dennis. 2 HP, but Dennis has got information. He's given his life away. Sacrificial lamb in this case, and now it's 8 HP for Smith as he gets tagged up by Gobby. That will allow Nico to follow up. And Nico and Chris J lead the way, 15 and 13 respectively.
I'm not sure if you noticed that, but Chris J in the drop-down area actually had a Zeus waiting for the players to come down. You saw a brick, the streamers fly up beneath their feet. Wasn't able to connect anything there, but yeah, there it is. So this is really interesting. Actually, with the cost, well, the amount it costs right now, it could actually be viable in some sort of situations, but obviously he recovers, doesn't take it on down, brings the USP out, gets 2 headshots. So well played by him once again. Titan are going to be forced buying into this one though. Scout being purchased by Smiths. But a reasonable buy for Mousesports as well. 3 rifles for them, 2 SMGs. God B with the P90. All 5 players of Titan heading towards A. We know this is the area they favour.
Dennis is going to try and put damage through that doorway. But reloading, falling back, needs to get past the wall, blinded, and just does in time. They're not stopping Titan. They want into this A site, and again, he'll be blinded up, but Goppy's not, so that allows him to try and come back into the site. Chris J out at long has taken a lot of damage, still though, finding a kill gives his team some help, although next, be careful, he's run out of ammo. He's tagged down very low, and Nico not able to connect on the first attempt either. It essentially came down to 3 pistols. Nico knows how close that was.
Yeah, Nico really did need to swarm Mania before he had a chance to reload there. Could have been a little bit awkward. Obviously, investment pretty heavy from Titan there, getting what they could. Scout purchase as well. Got a decent amount of kills, but Mousesports do hold on to that and going to force Titan onto a full eco this time. You can see only a couple of P250s make that 3 being purchased for them. And now this is the opportunity for Mousesports to actually get some money put together. They still have the 2 SMGs there. Got B, P90, Chris J, UMP did some work with that, but it seems like more B side favoured by Titan this time.
Does Chris go all the way? That's the better question. With the UMP, it's not favorable at distance. Shux is out in that courtyard.
It has a surprisingly good range, though, UMP.
Especially against non-armored players.
Yep.
It can chew them apart.
Titan just trying to find an opening. Bait out Chris J. They seem to assume that he's in that position. Dennis is also down below in mid. In they go. Eventually, Dennis knows they're coming. Flash goes in. They're blind, but Dennis was as well because he came out just a little bit too soon. Chris J now is the one to come under pressure because that means they've worked through mid and in toward drop and in toward danger, as Chris J picks up 3. Beautifully done with the UMP. Bring over the P90 to follow up. Both of them end up low on HP. So never mind SMGs. We'll go to rifles.
It's kind of fun. All the players just having a little face, getting shot down to HP. Okay, you'll go now. And then come running in with different rifles each time. But like we said, pretty simple procedure for them. Chris J leading the way with 3 kills with the UMP there. Let's have a little replay of how that went down. Pretty simple kills when we get to armor players, but
yeah,
nice
a bit
work.
too easy too as well. They should be more together,
But
running up there.
the headline is here. Chris J's going to keep the UMP, so we've got B. So let's see what he can do in this round. Like we said, Titan really do favour the A-bomb sign. That's going to be true this round as well, but Chris J is ready to face.
Coming through against RPK's position, but he's not near enough to lose any damage. So Mousesports hoping for a little bit of luck to get them started. Christian again, though, very far forward, flashed, caught by it. As he stutter steps, he manages to react correctly and get out of the line of fire. Smoke as well to give him some more safety, and that nade will do damage. It takes Smiths this time down to 79 HP. Dennis is still pushed up as well at mid. So although they're each on their own, they've got both choke points covered. Chris J, does he go for this? It looks like he wants to throw that left flash out and take the initial peek. By the way, a Zeus again for him and Gobby, and as he tries it, they're ready for it. RPK gets the kill in return. Gobby needs to be careful not to get caught with nades out. He'll switch over to the P90 and get inside the site, but he was spotted, so they may know it's where he's had to run for safety. They don't realize, though, still that Dennis is up close, and as he tries to swap to the AK-47, it's going to be RPK Existence who come in with kills and follow that up with Nico going down. It's left to Nex. He's in the back of the site, and he pulls it off. Last night he was a hero. He clutches massively here.
Yep, he's been actually quiet this match so far, but you know he will just come out of nowhere and do that kind of things all day, all night. So great plays from Nex.
Yeah, what an explosive way to enter into the game officially, I'd say. Nex, really difficult situation to be in. Run out of bullets on your M4, pull out the Tech 9, and he can always be so strong with that weapon. So a couple of headshots there does seal the deal.
And interestingly, we put him in the head-to-head this evening with Nex, and it is actually RPK that leads the way, 24 kills overall. The next best on his team is 12. So he's doubled all of everyone on Titan, 24 and 13. Chris J, even who leads for the winning team right now, is on 19. So Tank stepping back into his old form.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Titan, though, darker times for them, as they have got the Tech 9s out.
Oh, Shock's got a little bit fortunate there. Either way, he'll stay up toward long. Chris J looking for damage down toward middle. Gonna find a headshot, at least onto Shocks now as they walk through. Actually, I take that back. It was just on the shoulder, but now he goes down. Next, gets that kill, and Chris J still using the smoke to his advantage and gets RPK as a result. So Pistol's not going to do much right now from Titan. Or will they? at least one kill.
Again, Titan players getting too isolated, not having that effect what you have with Tech-9s when you swarm together. That's going to be a really, that can be a really deadly combination when you have the Tech-9s and you're just running together. So making it easy for Mouse players to just pick them one by one.
5 rounds in a row so far for Mousesports, looking very strong indeed. Haven't had to invest in the AWP at all yet. So far it's been relying on the SMGs so far in the first gun rounds, but now it's interesting. Full AKs for Titan. And I'd say this is the first proper gun round. You can see them bomb heading towards long A again. 4 players from Mousesports headed towards B. And it's going to be Chris J once again fighting them off. More aggression this time.
And he's already gone down to Shocks. Very aggressive fight. We'll see that on the off-camera screen momentarily. Meanwhile, they'll watch Nico, who's trying to push up toward long, but that won't matter at B because A is going to be the place of aggression. Gob stays on the balcony, and Next gets himself back into the corner, where we did see him pick up 2 kills to close the round previously. Unfortunately, though, does that Molotov reach through the wall? I think it might have, because they deploy a smoke on top of it. But that actually comes out from Titan, so if that did actually reach onto Nex's position, they've bailed him out instead, and that allows him to come back out into existence. But watch RPK, he's made his way onto the bomb site, finding one already, 16 HP. He'll try and cover his teammate desperately, but that fire has gone to the floor, and it's going to get both.
I didn't know that would spread from the roof to the floor. That was absolutely incredible how he did that. I thought it was a miss throw.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Wow. That was weird, though. I mean, I felt like Titan should have definitely got into the bomb site, but then got B and Next on back of basically CT spawn and up on the balcony back there. Managed to keep him on bay
Look at that.
long enough.
That is such a cool trick to use. I had no idea that actually happened. That's really fun.
And then we had a couple of burning French guys.
And I actually think Next was burning a little bit in that corner because it expanded through the wall, which may be a problem within the map. That shouldn't happen on that texture, but it was smoked off by Titan as well, so they didn't know it either. Shocks opens up this round, takes down Chris J. Titan not going to go out without a fight as they are now down 5 rounds, and it's 3 to go for Mousesports. They have money in their favor. If Titan don't pick up this one, they'll be hurting again, as it is now going to be Gobby to bring it back to a 4-on-4. Make it 3 versus 4 as Dennis will find Smiths. Maniac only to get the 1 response, but Nex comes right back through and finds existence on the ramp. Last remaining players, Shocks and Maniac, are split up as well. As Shocks is at A long, Gobby looking to put the pressure onto him, and Shocks is very low, so that should favor Gobby, but Shocks with the AWP is able to hit the shot. 2 versus 2. They've got to push the issue against Shoxy because Maniac could still be a problem. He's since gone for the flank and back toward the main approach onto mid, which does mean they're in good position. There will be no element of surprise. Next, spotting him on the way by. How does he respond? Tries to bait out another shot. Get in a better position. He may not even need it with the HP advantage. It's going to be 14 for Mouse and very limited income.
Yep, so they really are leading the charge here. 8-0 now in the second half. And you've got to ask yourself, can Titan justify another buy here? They can definitely get the Tech-9s out if they wanted to. The loss bonus obviously a full effect this time. So I guess it's just going to be some Tech-9s. Shocks can justify an AK actually, judging by the amount of cash he had. So AKs, Tech-9s, some smoke grenades as well. Once again heading towards A. But they really are in a difficult situation now. As Maniac heads up the upper platform very fast indeed.
Nico's going to hold Maniac, and you called before the game that we would see Titan putting a lot more pressure on A. This B site seems like a distant land. We haven't seen it very much in this half.
No, absolutely. And now 4 players for Titan remaining after losing the distraction at B almost. But a very difficult prospect to get into A, and then Chris Shades adds insult to injury there.
That puts him on 21, Next behind. Who Next, by the way, was dead bottom at the start of this half and is now on 20 kills. He's turned things around massively on his CT side. It's just enough for the difference making, perhaps, as Chris J, though, caught by Shocks. Nice shot, showing off that individual skill still exists in abundance. Molotov as well to cover off balcony existence. Did he see him? I'm not sure he did right away. Second thought and second reaction. Double take finds Nico, takes him down. It's actually Shocks that gets the kill after existence does the damage because the flames were still in place. And Shocks now down to the 1-on-1. He's got 4 kills in this. This would be an ace and a 1-on-1 clutch. He spots Dennis. Can he pull this off? If Shocks does, it would be the round of the game. He almost hits the head on Dennis, but not going to happen so far. In fact, none of those bullets connect. And Shocks still searching for it and gets it. An ace and the win.
Shocks is not really much you can dissect from that round, to be honest. The Shocks, as we said, one of the world's best aimers and fraggers the game has to offer. And just individual performance there. A round Titan shouldn't have really won. 5 kills on the board, really impressive stuff from him. But obviously one they needed. Had they lost that round, Mousesports would have been on map point. But Shocks does keep them alive now. A huge individual performance, but Mousesports do buy back into this. 5 rifles to them. Currently going to be set at 9-1 now.
Forward positions for Chris and Dennis.
8-1, sorry.
Dennis going to use the smoke. We've seen him play on the second door in mid, but not this front one like we saw Shocks do in the first half. See if he can make something of it. Flashes himself into that smoke, but he shouldn't go. If he knew they could not see that flash and therefore aren't blind, then luckily he does not. But Chris J and Gobby also on this A site. They know Titan's been putting pressure onto it, so this is the response. Stack it with 3 players. And Gobby, I'm not sure he was spotted, but is blinded. Do they check that corner? They're going to go in front of him. He doesn't have his gun out, so therefore RPK can assassinate Chris J, but he responds, Gobby, with a nice 2 kills onto Shocks and RPK. Existence needs 4. Shocks got 5 in the last. We know it's possible, but not when 4 are up against 1, and that allows Gobby to just hold the angle. Hat trick for the in-game leader. And it's match point now for Mousesports.
I think it's fair to also comment that Maniac hasn't had a lot of impact on that B platform either.
Yeah, that's the thing. So if you watch players like Shroud for Cloud9, for example, you can rely on him for a kill every single time, right? He puts a smoke down, and he'll always get 1. He'll take 1 down with him, and it may just be a trade, but it'll cause chaos there. And these players don't just seem to be affecting the round whatsoever.
Because if you get that kill there more consistently, it'll make that much easier for those guys to get taken over these areas on A. Because that's going to make the CTs fall back more. They're going to maybe rotate another guy towards B. So that would make the job of the other guys so much easier if you actually manage to do an impact on that site.
So that loss bonus now completely gone as we go into map point here for Mousesports. A round they should take statistically. Let's see how this one goes down.
And they go toward middle. Dennis is waiting with the AK-47. Again, map point. So if Dennis can collect enough kills here, it could just be enough to push it over the edge. Instead, Maniac getting the trade back still gives Titan a fighting chance, a breath of hope. But is it a breath of fresh air? Unfortunately, it's polluted by Chris J, who finds 2 kills, and Existence and Shocks, the last alive, flashed up. Chris J, unfortunately caught by that, means that he can't close the kills, and we go back to 2 versus 2. But the Tech 9s from this range aren't going to be enough, but the AK will, and Existence has managed to pick one up. He's on very low HP, just 12 to work with, as he tries to play nip and tuck with Nico, who's in behind the APC. Bombs down behind Existence. He can run for that 31 seconds. I don't think he'd even make it to be from this point at where he is. So this fight is going to have to go exactly as it is. 1 versus 1 on the A site. And Existence, there's no time to spare. It's gone.
Just a very disappointing tee-half from Titan, I think. It seems like they're one-trick ponies. They seem to know how to approach the B-bomb site, going towards A every single time, relying on one of their players to go huge, and that's the only round I think they won was when Shoxy got a 5-man. That really does paint the picture for you, I think.
Yeah.
Question, how many set plays did you see?
0.
None.
Exactly.
And B not even touched. We talked about that. There was 1 round they put pressure on it.
That's the thing. I mean, it's fine to have those kind of standard rounds where you just go for the picks and try to make openings and play by that. But when that's not working, when people are not hitting their shots in a manner where that would be viable, that's when you go back to those kind of execution strategies, like a B strat or whatever, an A strat.
Even it doesn't have to be even a set piece to get the bomb down. Just taking certain areas, like drop down, for example. You see a lot of teams putting smokes towards the window and the connecting door and drop down, and then at least you've taken an area. You don't need to get to a bomb site. You've pushed the CTs back, taken information away from them. Titan doing the same thing every single time, going to A, trying to work the long hauls. Didn't really happen.
And we saw they stacked it with 3 players.
Mm-hmm.
They brought Chris J over as well as Gobby, had Dennis already on the doorway. That was the right response. They knew exactly what Titan were doing, and there wasn't even a change of play. There wasn't even a curveball from Titan to say, oh, wait, there's 3 here now. B's got to be weak. So
Well,
pretty lackluster, I guess, from Titan.
let's have a look at the scoreboard, see if that shows what's going on. I know RPK did step up pretty huge there.
This is looking good for my Vulcan team. Just
That's
point
true,
that out.
actually. Yeah.
RPK, top
You had
fragger
him,
was
didn't you?
Titan. That was the only Titan player I had. I have Chris J now since Speedy's not playing. I have Nico. I have
It's not
Nex.
good for me. I had Maniac and Smiths. And
Yeah, I
those
think
guys
Natu's definitely
stunk.
going to smoke us here. But if this performance continues, we could still get 2 games out of this series as well as the next. And that is going to be the next map on Train to determine if that's going to happen or not. Can Titan respond? But first, before we get there, let's also look at the MVP. And it is going to be Chris J. With no mistake, he was oh, sorry, I skipped the heat map. I forgot. I'm losing track of the order.
on.
We'll get there. Oh, look, we've added
Look
the
at that.
sights on there now.
I guess we can sort of see the
Yeah,
tendency of
so
Titan here.
Titan, this is crazy. B-side, it's so many options for you, so many different ways to approach it. And they got, it looks like, from what I can work out, 2 kills there maybe.
Probably,
and
yeah.
even if they're going to take A, put some pressure toward drop to cut off
And look,
rotations, there's no
Mousesports-
one at drop.
Mousesports didn't do amazing set pieces on their T side, for example, but at least they were actually making it competitive, mixing it up between the bomb sides. You can see a nice even spread between them. Titan, they can't go on like this. We talk about Existence being the tactical mastermind. That is a tactical flop, if you ask me.
I would say so. I would completely agree.
I think they're trying to implement this more loose play style, and they're just sort of still finding themselves. I'm thinking that's something coming from Shocks and Smiths and the way they played in Envy, which is probably going to be something that Existence also has to learn.
Well, let's take a look at that MVP now. I already mentioned it is going to be Chris J. Again, RPK overall the top fragger, but Chris J had a ton of impact, clutching out 3 rounds in the first half, and then the op eventually did come on and was more than enough on the CT side.
One thing that really I really want to point out is the fact that how do you define a really good opper? I mean, you see a lot of oppers that take cute angles and they just basically aim at one spot and they'll just click mouse 1 when someone runs into their crosshair. But with Chris J, these flick shots that he's able to do on consistent level is pretty insane.
His picture's beautiful as well. But we'll look at the round analysis. This round actually wasn't anything spectacular in terms of how it went down. It was pretty standard. They came in again on A, surprise, surprise, Titan. They Molotov the back of the site. They tried to hold the balcony in place, but it was actually, the reason we highlighted it was just simply that cool, creative Molotov that went off the roof and onto the floor.
I want to see it from Nexus PV. Paul, I don't think we will, but it seemed like it was a bit of a panic throw. I think he tried to check on the bomb, so I'm not 100% sure. Maybe he did intentionally throw it on the roof, but the way it kind of bloomed onto the bomb site was so cool. That's one of the 2 areas you actually plant.
And this was one of the only rounds the Titan actually put pressure onto the B site. It did initially mean that Gobby and Nex were held in place for a little longer on that B site. Came down to Chris J. Shocks won that kill on the way through. And you'd think at this point, okay, A site's wide open. Let's close it out.
Look at how much Gobby and Nex can delay them actually getting into that site. Considering Shocks is with the bomb almost at the bomb site, he could have planted by now.
So this is when the Molotov comes in.
First Molotov in this. Okay, so there was a second. My mistake. I didn't see that second one, but smoke and instantly goes out on top of it. It's burned out. That one now gives Nex the chance to cross over. They get to the site eventually. They do get the plant. Smith's covering off for his teammate when he does. Hits the shot on balcony right here. But then here comes the Molotov. This is just clever.
The Molotov of Doom.
No, that's the spot everyone plants in. Both players actually there as well.
I think he may have actually. Well, he's in the smoke, so it's hard to say. That hit dead in the middle of the roof.
So look at the way it's spread. That's exactly where both the players are. Takes them both down. That's so satisfying. I think Syndro we can all have a go at going forward, as that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it may not be the most tactical round analysis, but it's just one of those cool plays that someone can put in their itinerary if it's easier to hit that spot with the Molotov than try and lob it into that corner behind the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. So cool stuff around. But we do go into D Train next. Another map I think does favor Mousesports.
Well, we'll find out. They've played well on it, and Titan have definitely shown lackluster performances over the last few days. We'll take a break. We'll get there. This could be done as quickly as 2 maps. Well, though, because Maniac, RBK, and Smiths have all come back over to that A site. And even if they were to find Shocks, which they haven't, means that it might be Mouse's turn to eco, but Smiths comes through from B. They're getting aggressive everywhere. Titan check the corner. He does, but he still goes down. Needs to be a response right now, and unfortunately, Nex has lost all of his moves. It hasn't blinded them. They know that was a little bit light, so they won't go, and instead, they'll flash him back in, and Maniac picks up 2+ bomb. Titan give themselves a big special in that corner. Only one. Flash comes out. That blinds 2 Mousesports players. Allows RPK to now take down 3. So that position.
So this is really interesting. Actually, with the cost, with the amount it costs right now, it could actually be viable.
Too soon. Chris J now is the one to come under pressure because that means they've worked through, made it into toward drop and into toward danger, as Chris J picks up 3. Beautifully done with the UMP. Bring over the P90 to follow up. Both of them end up low on HP. So never mind SMGs. We'll go to rifles. Follow that up with Nico going down. It's left to Nex. He's in the back of the site and he pulls it off. Last night he
managed to keep him on base.
Look at that.
Long enough.
That is such a cool trick to use. I had no idea that.
Assassinate Chris J, but he responds. Goppy with a nice 2 kills on the shots.